I'm making this meditation video for a friend who wants to get into meditating. I've never been great at meditating in the traditional sense of the word, or the traditional idea of meditation. It's just been something that I've struggled to find authenticity in until recently. And my method for meditation that has been working for me is a singing meditation using a shruti box instrument. This one's in the key of C, so it's a C to C octave. These are like, if you think about a piano, there's the black keys and these are the white keys. And yeah, so I usually play with the C's, which is the octave, because it has a nice full sound without too much disharmony or distracting tones, because the idea is that you drone on one note with the instrument, and then the change is found through your voice. And so you can use this meditation in many different ways. Excuse me. You can use it for voice development, to just improve the quality of your voice or the tone of your voice. You can use it to get better at recognizing different notes or even chords. Or you can use it to kind of get lost within sound or to explore sound. You can also use it as a form of kind of a breath. What's it called? Breathwork. I'm not very focused at the moment. It's hard to focus when you have a camera watching, but I'm learning to get better. So thank you for your patience. So I would like to show you a way of using this as a way of connecting with your breath and treating each breath as an individual song in a way, so you can make the exhaled breath where you're making the sound last as long as possible. And then there'll be moments of silence, obviously, while you inhale, unless you know how to do the circular breathing singing, which is not impossible, but complicated. But if you can figure it out, go for it. But the idea is that you're inhaling fully, and when you inhale fully, you're imagining that you're expanding your entire torso. So it's like you're like a balloon and you're just inflating yourself to the point of feeling like you could burst. And then even when you can burst, shifting that weight down, and it's like, okay, now if I push that from the tops of my lungs down into my stomach, you can find more room, and through that you can inhale even more. And then each time you inhale as much as you think you can, just kind of like a valve, and you seal it. And when you do that, it's kind of like, say that the air can't escape, so you're like, and you kind of have to hold your breath in order to not exhale at all. And in that exhaling, you imagine that it's like a valve and it seals shut. And then from there, kind of like push the air that's trapped inside of you with your breath held down, as if you're trying to force it into your stomach. And sometimes that'll make your stomach make weird sounds, and that's perfectly normal. And what I say, you now are even, so the breath is being held, but then you're also forcing it so that you're almost, I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but just imagine that you're expanding your stomach somehow to expand all, it's hard to describe what I'm seeing. So if you imagine that I've put a balloon inside of you, and that when you inhale and hold the air and then push it down, you are making that balloon inside of you get full of air, and then it's kind of like if you have an air and your balloon is filled up, and then you're holding it, and then you hold it sealed, and then you squeeze the top of the balloon so that more, it like bulges in the bottom. That's the feeling you're going for. So imagining that your belly can bulge like the bottom of a balloon. And I can't remember what that technique is called, but a lot of weightlifters use it as a stabilization of your core. It's but that feeling will stretch all of the tissues in your stomach area and within your chest, and you imagine that you are creating little pockets of air in spaces where even more oxygen molecules, because you're holding in all of these oxygen molecules, among other things, but you're holding oxygen in your body, and you're using that air to force all of these little pockets of your lungs that haven't been used for a while. Maybe you have asthma, or maybe you're a smoker. So you can imagine that these pockets of air are being forced open, because some of them, if you smoke marijuana and you have ever smoked out of a bong, and the sticky tar that gets stuck all over the place that makes your bong so messy, that is also happening inside of your body if you smoke marijuana, or if you smoke tobacco, or any substance really can get lodged inside of your lungs, I believe. And it can make the little areolae, or whatever they're called, sacs, the little sacs on the branches of your lungs, makes them, some of them I would imagine, kind of like stick together. And so they're not holding as much oxygen as they should. But if you imagine holding this breath in and pushing it down, and you can imagine like each of those ones that have been locked closed due to like illness, or just like not having just having too much in your lungs, I suppose is what it would be called. Because if you don't do a lot of aerobic exercise, like heavy running, it's really hard to process everything that's in your lungs. But singing will help you process that. And this technique specifically, I know it's a very long description, but it's sort of a very specific feeling that I want you to feel. So that's why I'm going into supreme detail. So you imagine when you're holding the air in, and you're pushing, like the balloon is being squished down the bottom of you, and you're imagining that, seeing in your mind's eye, the little areolae sacs, or I have to look up what they're actually called. I can't remember. It's been a long time since anatomy and physiology. Anyway, the little sacs on your lungs, there's these little, so your lungs have the big bronchial tube things, and then those go even farther out into smaller and smaller. It's like the branches of a tree, kind of. And if you imagine the branches of a tree, and each leaf on a tree, instead of a leaf, it's a little air sac. I don't know. I believe that's how it is. I can't remember. It's been a long while. And I'm not a doctor. Yeah. So, you imagine those air sacs are opening. So some of them have been sealed closed from some toxins and things that you have inhaled into your body. And you imagine those popping open for the first time in a while, and the gunk that's in them is working its way out into your lungs. So don't be surprised if when you do more singing, you cough more, especially if you take breaks like I, or if you smoke a lot of marijuana like some people do. I smoke occasionally. So I've actually started, I know this is maybe not good to talk about contraband or whatever, but I have this little baby bong, and I like to put a paper towel on top of it, just fold it over once, as it absorbs a lot of the stuff that could go into your lungs. It's just one filter, but it's better than nothing, and any sort of help you can give your lungs, the better. Yeah, so when you do this, you imagine those air sacs opening, and the stuff that's lodged inside of them kind of working out into the passages so that they can be cleared by coughing. And but the coughing might not happen for a while, but you just imagine that those things are working their way out, and so it's kind of like reawakening, revigorating your lungs. It's a really good feeling. Anyway, so that's when you inhale. So, and then when you exhale, you imagine that you are contracting everything in your body. And it's kind of like, if you've ever seen anything get vacuum sealed, when you suck the air out of a package and there's something inside of it, it shrinks and like it's like all of the air is being sucked out of it. So you imagine that the same thing is happening to you, but you're breathing it out, it's not being sucked out of you. But just imagine that you're like wringing yourself out, and so as you push all the air out of you, like kind of like contracting your abs and just squeezing everything, like you're kind of a towel and you're wringing yourself out. And so you just kind of like imagine that you're shrinking in kind of like a shrimp. You're sitting like a shrimp. And you just keep, you can even inhale and just to exhale more if you want. Because sometimes the more you breathe, you can kind of like with each exhale go shorter and shorter and shorter, or closer, tighter, I guess is the word. Anyway, so just whatever you can do to get yourself so that you feel like you're as compressed as possible. Squeezing in all, you can imagine like that you're squeezing out all of the air bubbles out of yourself, kind of like just, it's hard to think of what the analogies are because I just visualize it. So it's like I just imagine squeezing out everything that you can and just as tight as you can get it, because the tighter you can go, it's just the better it works. Because it's like if you have a lot of muscle pain or joint pain, chronic pains in general, those are often, I believe, caused by stuck energy in your body. So if you aren't moving a lot, you'll get like some tension, because it's like if you're sitting like this all the time, then your head is kind of forward from where it's supposed to be on your spine, and that's creating extra tension in all these other places. And so it's like you may be hurting in your shoulder, but that is because of something that you did in your hip. It's like it has all of these really weird, I can't remember what the word is, but I think it's like deferred pain, something like that. But anyway, so basically in the breathing and in your breath with the full contractions and the full expansions, you can work out all of these micro muscles that don't get used very often. They would be used if we breathed properly, but as Americans and most civilized, as they call it, societies, or I guess technically it's, I have to say civilized because I don't believe we are civilized. I believe that our way of life is a sin against the planet, almost. It's like we have been given this planet to live on, to exist on, that has the capability of meeting our every wish and every need and every desire. And we choose to live in suffering instead. We could be sharing resources, and we could be working communally and working for the betterment of our species and for all species, because everything here is meant to be. We're all supposed to be here. We all belong here. And the fact that we are forgetting that we all belong here and thinking that one of us has more right to be here than the other. I mean, it's a fear mindset, obviously. You can't believe that there's enough for everybody if you feel lack. And I think a lot of times we invent reasons to feel lack. I'm not really sure what that means, but think about the ways in which you personally invent ways to feel lack. For me, I often feel that there's a lack of time and that I must use my time as efficiently as possible in order to win this game, in the sense of like, if you think that, oh, if only I could do this, then my life would be perfect. So if only I could have infinite amounts of time to do all of the things that I want to do, I wouldn't feel so paralyzed with fear about which one I should do first. It's like, when you only have X number of times, moments, years, weeks, whatever, how do you decide which thing is the most important? Is it the thing that makes me happy? Or is it the thing that causes the most joy? Is it the thing that serves the most beings? I mean, there's so many things that can be done, and I don't know, while I dabble, it would be nice to just do one at a time. But until then, I'm going to do it all. Back on track. That was a sidetrack. I'm so sorry. We were going to talk about meditating. And so rather than keep going into things, I'm just going to tell you, treat every single breath as if it's a song. Treat every single breath as if it's the medicine that you need, as if it can heal what ails you. If you are having a pain in your shoulder, when you take your breath, imagine how you can breathe into that pain in your shoulder. Is there a micro movement you can do while seated or standing? And also using your breath that helps you work through that pain? Is there a way that you can find peace and harmony with that pain? So with this instrument, it drones on C. Well, I drone it on C. And I like to keep it there to resist the temptation of feeling like I have to be directed rather than to just direct myself. So if I get bored of the sound of C, then I just change it up and do whatever I want to do within the key. So treat each breath as a song. Treat exhalations as a cleansing, a draining, and a place to be comfortable. And when you inhale, imagine all of the areola things, sacs in your lungs expanding. Keep inhaling. And even as you exhale, you can keep your lungs elevated, if that's what you want to say. Like full but empty at the same time. And when you inhale, maybe you grow taller. And with each inhale, you grow taller. Maybe your shoulders drop. And when you inhale, you still grow taller. And your shoulders draw back. And you still grow taller. And you grow taller. And you keep inhaling and subtly exhaling until you feel so expansive and so full. Now when you exhale, you do it with almost a sigh. And when you reach the bottom of your exhale, compress yourself and exhale again. Inhaling, compressing, stretching, compressing. And maybe the sound comes out harsh like a scream. And then inhale, and let yourself relax, stretch. And try to breathe as intentionally as possible, fully in. And exhale with sound. Totally okay to make bad sounds. some reason, I don't know where this song came from, but it just plays in my head constantly. And like, I often just sing variations of it. But it reminds me of The Lion King for some reason, and being like, I don't know how old I was when Lion King came out, but a small child, and I was always in daycare, and we were always watching The Lion King and shit like that. And I think that's probably why I hate Disney movies, because I just equate it to being always like in daycare and like in uncomfortable spaces and never away from other people. And I guess, my whole life I've been terrified of other people, and never quite able to escape other people. And at the same time, feeling completely drawn to everybody and to people in general, and not being allowed to isolate myself, but also, I don't know if I'm capable, because I would just be too comfortable by myself, and it would just be like, I'd be like, I mean, I think I would just devolve into this, I don't know, like, just creature. Not that that's a bad thing, but I just, I don't know. I find it more fun to be around others, because when you're around others, you have to define yourself in different ways, in the sense of defining yourself in the way that you interact with somebody else. Because there's the way that you interact with yourself, which is just, for me anyway, it's just like a calm peace and tranquility. But when I interact with others, it's a overthinking confusion of like, why would that being do this thing? Why is this being doing this thing? And questioning every single thing that somebody's doing, and just being, I guess, hyper vigilant to everything, and worrying, am I doing something wrong? Am I hurting this person? Am I scaring this person? Does this person want me to leave? And like constantly just micromanaging, not micromanaging, I guess, but just over analyzing every little detail of every interaction, and then talking myself out of interacting, because the stories that I tell myself about what their micro movements mean. Like, somebody blinked twice when I said this word. Does that mean I have offended them? I don't know. It's a strange thing. But anyway, I'm trying to get over that and just realize that I'm gonna just say whatever I want to say, and you should also say what you want to say, as long as we are going about with the intention of doing harm to none, and only to communicate and to explore and be curious. I don't see any reason to not try to just interact as we are, and trust the process. I mean, sure, there's probably people out there who are hurting other people, maybe because they enjoy hurting other people. It's really hard for me to believe that there is somebody who, I mean, besides sadists who just enjoy hurting other people, but I believe that's a deeper thing. And consensual sadism is totally a safe space to explore any of your, if you have feelings that, intrusive thoughts and things that are, wanting to hurt something, you can find people who are into that and would be more than willing to be experimented on. Consent is key. Because if you can find consent for getting your shadows out, you will realize that the darknesses that are inside of yourself aren't really there. They're a misunderstanding. I mean, I've done some weird things in my life, not like intentionally harming, but when I was a child, I played weird games with my toys, and that they were very sadistic games. And I don't know where I got these ideas as a child. I mean, I was very young, 3, 4, maybe. I don't know. Um, yeah, I enjoyed playing sadistic games with my dolls, and um, you could say that that would make me a bad person. But when you can tell the difference between fantasy and reality, and you know when it's a safe place to exercise your shadow, and when it's a not safe place, because if you are violating anybody else's sovereignty, I mean, I think that's it's just fucking rude. You know, I don't know. Do as unto others as you like done unto you, but that doesn't necessarily equate, because some people want things done to them that do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Yes, consent is key. And asking for what you want. You know, you never know what you can get unless you ask. But then when you ask, the other part of asking is listening and hearing and knowing that only a fuck yes is a yes. And anything that is not a fuck yes is a no. If it's a or a, oh, okay, or a, yeah, you're nice, that's a no. If they're not like, yes, I really want to fuck you right now, that's a no. If they don't say that, then the answer is no. I don't know why it has to be about sex, but just anything. If it's not a yes, it's a no. And I don't know, teach your kids this stuff. They need to know that it's never okay to say yes when you mean no. And it's never okay to hear no and take it as a yes. Unless it's consensual non-consent. That is a thing. And there's a time and a place. And everybody should have safe words. Mine's ambrosia. Alright, I think there's a few minutes left of this recording. So, if you're still paying attention, let's do another song.